I've got an idea. I'm gonna go and get a jab.
I just said that.
Next time you see me, I'm gonna be a real life jabman. Bob Dylan, Desire. Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review. Chromatics, Kill for Love. Chromatics is a project that's released a handful of albums since its formation in 2001, but kind of hit it big last year with an appearance on that Drive soundtrack that people were really making a lot of noise about. Now this is the first LP to be released since that really nice soundtrack appearance, and it is a 90-minute dreamy bedroom pop opus, which admittedly is kind of what got me interested in checking this group out in the first place. Group I never heard of before, puts together this 90-minute pop album. They sound like they're pretty ambitious on paper, but the issue for me is that, to me, this album shares so many of the negative characteristics, the negative stereotypes that are usually associated with self-recorded music. Stuff like plain melodies, sounds that are by no means vibrant or resonant or even really all that pretty. All the sounds kind of melt together into this stew of pastel colored blandness. And the performances on this LP are kind of weak too, almost feel really effortless, I guess. The vocals are not that interesting, they're not that engaging, they do not have that much personality, they don't have that much pitch or range either, or passion. They just kind of flatly deliver the lyrics one track after another. And the guitar, the synthesizers, the drum programming, there was nothing about them on this album in the whole 90 minutes that it spanned that really struck me as being spectacular. I would actually even say the way a lot of the instruments are played on this LP, it's pretty unenthusiastic. Some of the guitar leads just kind of slip in and out of tempo, and not even really in an interesting or an exciting way. It's not like they're slipping in and out of tempo because things are going so fast, things are getting so hot and heavy. It's just really kind of an obvious mistake that shouldn't be there. Sometimes the synths suffer from the same problem, and a couple of spots on this album feature auto-tune, which I feel like the more I hear it, the more I'm sort of getting this grip of, I like auto-tune used here, but I don't like it used in this particular way. And in the way it was used on this album was just so aimless. It actually kind of reminded me of the way auto-tune was used on that Flava Flav single, I'll Never Let You Go. This album does not have a lot I'm interested in, but I would not say it's lacking in effort. I feel like effort did go into this thing. There is a lot of material here and a huge laundry list of instruments that were placed onto this LP. There's acoustic piano and strings and sampling and tape delay effects, different kinds of guitars, a theremin too. But too many songs on here just sound way too similar for comfort for me. Like tracks 3 and 4 on here pretty much have the same exact drum beat, but played at different speeds. And like I said, none of the melodies on this thing are all that developed. They feel a bit thrown together. They feel a little off the cuff, and as a result, the melodies are definitely not helping in separating these songs. I like what the project is shooting for on this thing. You've got some programmed beats, you have these guitars with the tone that reminds me of like Power, Corruption, and Lies era New Order, or maybe even like Joy Division, something like that. You've got some smooth grooves, you've got vocals kind of slathered in reverb, a dreamy aesthetic. But just because this music is dreamy and ethereal, I don't think that gives it a go to be kind of forgettable or kind of lacking in personality. All these issues come up for me right from the start on the opening track to this thing, which is actually a cover of Neil Young's Into the Black. And I've never really heard a cover suck the passion out of an original so quickly. The vocals are performed as if it's a chore. The piano and the guitar strumming, there's nothing really dramatic or emotional about them. And it's such an emotional song. There were a few surprises for me on this LP that I liked. There were some very interesting ambient synth interludes toward the middle, synth odysseys almost, and The final track on here, a 14-minute track, had some nice progression, some nice changes. A lot of the instruments in this laundry list show up on that track. There is still that issue with me not really loving the sounds on this album. I actually thought the song Lady was pretty good too. I still wasn't into the vocals, but the groove on that track was so smooth and kind of dark. Really made me think of what would be a depressing disco song. Overall, again with this LP, it was just so plainly performed, it was difficult for me to really get into it. As I've already said, I was originally interested in this thing because of the length, thought that would bring some ambition to the table, but the energy that went into making this much material did not really go into making the sounds high quality, making the vocals engaging, making the melodies unique. I wouldn't go as far as to say there's a lot of filler on this album. I do sense that there is some nice progression, that there is a nice arc to these 90 minutes that have been laid onto this LP. It just ended up feeling so lacking for me. Kind of feeling a strong 4 to a light 5 on this. Was not feeling it, but what do you guys think of this thing? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why? And what should I review next? Anthony Fantano, Chromatics, forever.